Wow. That was beautiful. The ending, man. And mind you, it was not even a happy ending. And I respect him for that, because I feel like we're so accustomed to like the Disney movie kind of ending where everything works out, because he explains the secret to us getting out of this toxic cycle that society is in. You know what I'm saying? He didn't act like he had the answer. Shane Koyczan DM'd me. I am not lying. Now, just out of respect, I'm not going to show someone's, private DMs to me or something like that. He actually asked me to react to places. So he and I actually start chatting through DMs, and eventually I just decided to ask him, hey, do you want to be on my Poet Side Chats podcast, where I interview poets and educate my audience on how to improve and pursue a career in the arts? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. So expect that to come soon. It's currently in the works. I already have it scheduled and everything. I'm just so honored, Shane. Like, thank you for even taking notice of me. I know like a lot of people probably do want to interview you or get to chat with you. And it's just amazing that you were mindful of like a small channel like mine. Just thank you, man, for real. So this is for you. You recommended I react to this. Here we go.
We're busy people. We got places to be. So many places. However many places we need to get away from dealing with our problems, that's how many places we got. We are not at risk for not having enough places. When we were kids, we used to twist up our faces in defiance each morning because we had to go to school. But school was a place. Training grounds for the rat race in which they taught us to chase down a living, even though that meant giving up our best years so we could save enough money to enjoy our worst. Even though that meant backburnering our own ambitions so we could toe the company line first, but work was a place. And in it, our days became a routine where we learned to trace around the edges of whatever life we wanted. We were told we could have it all. But our skulls became houses haunted with the stress of job security.
Yeah, we was lied to. We was lied to. Working your hiney off for that 401k, retirement plan, all that. See, and he said it best about school. Giving up your best years training to make a living so that you could enjoy your worst years. Bro, that's a bar. That is a bar. I'm telling you, this man be spitting, but it's true. He's not talking about anything esoteric or hard for the masses to understand. Like, this is something that's relatable to most people, And I'm definitely relating to it when it comes to like the workforce and school. I'm actually going back to school. A lot of y'all didn't know that. But yeah, let's keep going.
Same routine where we learned to trace around the edges of whatever life we wanted. We were told we could have it all. But our skulls became houses haunted with the stress of job security. We found ourselves at the mercy of an ever-changing world. Fingers curled around the ocean handles, we started to pick up speed. Our veins became a hallway of time through which we began to bleed the same old day in, day out. Devout in our duties, but always with our eyes on the clock. We would watch the minute hand shake hands with the hour hand. Our dreams became castles being built in the sand of an hourglass where time kept slipping away. We became cheerleaders, rooting on the end of the day. We couldn't wait to go home, because home was the place. Our base of operations where we drafted up battle plans for the future. We had plans for all those many years ahead. But mostly we just saddled up our bed and rode it into sleep because we had to be up to do it all over again the next morning. In the midst of our dreams, we heard our alarm clock shout their warning into our weary bodies that soon we would again have to leave our homes so we could keep our homes. Our enthusiasm for this life was left behind to wander the catacombs of all the things we could have been.
Oh my God. Underneath the catacombs of all the things we could have been. By the way, catacombs are like underground tunnels for like a lot of tombs, like secret tombs almost. You know what I'm saying? And that's really telling. A lot of us are leaving behind certain dreams that we wanted to give life, and we're just burying them, but not just burying them underground, but in catacombs where they're hidden, the kind of tombs that people don't even know about. You feel me? Bruh, the rat race is real, man. And a lot of times home is like the only safe haven from that rat race, but you literally leave home to make sure you still have a home, It is what it is, though. I can't really think of an alternative. As unnatural as that might seem, that's quite literally the nature of things. You feel me? But yeah, let's keep going.
This life was left behind to wander the catacombs of all the things we could have been, all the places we could have ended up. We have so many places. Not just the cradle, not just the grave. but all the places in between. Places where we traded away our time to become cogs in a machine that's been breaking down for decades. There are parades of the rejected walking the streets every day. They sit like missing parts beside a machine that has no place for them. Places for the corrupt. Places for the treacherous, the untrustworthy. We have places made of steel-reinforced concrete 3.5 feet thick to protect money that will go to building more places that will sit empty. But we have no place for society's most downtrodden. We watch their horizons diminish while our skylines broaden and our cities grow. How is it that with all this growth there remains no place for the abandoned or the destitute? Their daily commute from desperation to hope gets longer the more numb we become to the fact that these are people.
Oh my God, this guy's rhymes. His rhymes are out of this world. Like, it's so beautiful. The way he's just weaving it in so seamlessly. It doesn't sound like he's trying to force a rhyme and in the process sacrificing his message. No, like it's just in there. And it's not even end rhyme. A lot of it's internal rhyme. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes he's rhyming even close to the beginning of sentences rather than at the end. Like the man's just going dummy with it. It's just music to my ears, quite honestly. I also want to make mention of some imagery he provided much earlier in the poem, where he made a mention of sandcastles and hourglasses. Okay, so sandcastles, with time and the right resources, pretty much water and sand, you can build the structure up. But in the case of hourglasses, those can be considered quite the opposite use of sand, not to build up, but to reveal the passage of time. Right? So you flip it over and the sand, instead of being built up, the sand goes from the upper chamber of the hourglass to the lower chamber. It's spilling. All right. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that there. Let's keep going.
And like Sisyphus, we push change up a steep hill only to watch it roll back down to the bottom after getting so close to the top.
Okay. Now I got to mention this before I forget. Sisyphus is part of a Greek tragedy myth in which he was cursed by Zeus. You're going to be pushing this boulder up a hill, and every time you get close to the top, it's going to go back down, and you have to go back to the bottom and push it back up to the top. That just really shows Shane's expertise and knowledge. The fact that he's pulling on Greek tragedy myth like that, just out of nowhere, he killing it, man. He killing it. Let's keep going. I do find it interesting that he compared Sisyphus, who, at least according to the story, was one of the elites. He compared the tragedy of Sisyphus to the tragedy of the average Joe, the layman, the person who's struggling to pay bills, or the person on the street even. You know what I'm saying? So that was really interesting how he made that comparison. I wonder what the reason for that is. I know I'm supposed to know these things as the quote unquote expert, as the poet, but hey, sometimes I don't even have things figured out. So if you have an idea of why he chose Sisyphus as the comparison, outside of the whole, like, you know, futile effort of pushing a boulder up a hill, just like the futile effort of trying to make it out of poverty or struggle, you know, I get that comparison, but why Sisyphus specifically, you know? Let me know.
3.5 feet thick to protect money that will go to building more places that will sit empty. But we have no place for society's most downtrodden. We watch their horizons diminish while our skylines broaden and our cities grow. How is it that with all this growth there remains no place for the abandoned or the destitute? Their daily commute from desperation to hope gets longer the more numb we become to the fact that these are people. And like Sisyphus, we push change up a steep hill only to watch it roll back down to the bottom after getting so close to the top. Bureaucracy holds up a stop sign to our compassion and says, nothing can be done. It's the same spin that's been spun ever since they loaded apathy into a gun that sits unlocked in a cabinet of despair. Where can they go? No sleeping on the street. No resting on bus benches. Unwanted everywhere they go. They dig trenches deeper into themselves because there is a war being waged upon them. Not with artillery. Who needs all those explosions of noise when you've got something as quiet and as deadly as red tape? There are holes in the safety net in the shape of people. We forget tragedy is a switch. We're never more than one flick away from the it that can happen to anyone at any time. The climb back to sure footing isn't always as easy as putting your best foot forward. Isn't easy to look for a way out when your vision is blurred by tears born from the labor of having to accept society doesn't want you. How How is anyone meant to keep going knowing that no one cares? Anyone who wears the scar of homelessness knows that in this world there exist avenues of disaster with losses so profound they can envelop you. For some, it becomes a syringe, each hinge on the doorway leading out of addiction slowly rusting shut. For others, it's a sharpened economy, ready to cut loose anyone who falls behind on rent, even if this time it was spent on training men to lift them out of poverty.
That's a bar. Man, sometimes you got to choose between rent and paying for a means of like getting the training and expertise and degree to actually get out of the poverty that you stuck in. Bro, that is so tough, man. And I can relate, G. Man, by the way, I'm not in poverty, because I know people who know me will be like, hey, bro, don't claim that if you're not like that. And I'm not. I'm very blessed to be in the position I'm in. I'm just saying I can relate to the having to choose between paying bills and advancing myself so I don't have to struggle as much as I currently am. That's what I meant by that. Outside of that, man, the visuals are so touching. Like when we saw the person's hand on the fence and they were shaking it, oh my God, I felt that. Shane, I don't know who edits your videos, if it's you or anybody else, whoever it is, props to them, G. Props to them. Let's keep going.
Or maybe it was a bank who said they were doing you a favor by lending you money, when really they were just betting against you. Maybe disaster blew away your home. Maybe you were left to roam the waiting room of your insurance company, whose policy is to deny claim or delay payment, because every cent they can keep in the bank is another turn on the crank of a machine that spits out compound interest, which means there's money to be made by keeping your future on a waiting list. Indifference has taken the place of mercy. When we need action, we distract ourselves with whatever new controversy is handed to us. Diversion has taken the place of focus. And while we sink deeper into an abyss of lassitude, the cord that connects us to our humanity is being chewed through by greedy teeth. Our detachment is being twisted into a wreath, being laid upon the headstone of our tenacity. We used to fight for one another. But hey, we're busy people. We got places to be. We got so many places. However many places we need to hide our faces from the people who have nothing and who we have to walk by on our way to whatever place we have to be, that's how many places we got. We're not at risk for not having enough places. Places for the indifferent, places for the greedy, but no place for the abandoned, no place for the strange, no place for anyone begging us for change.
That was beautiful. The ending, man. And mind you, it was not even a happy ending. And I respect him for that, because I feel like we're so accustomed to like the Disney movie kind of ending where everything works out, because he explains the secret to us getting out of this toxic cycle that society is in. You know what I'm saying? He didn't act like he had the answer. He wasn't being a sage on the stage who has all the wisdom and answers to impart on the audience. He's just saying, here's the problem. And here's a very detailed, artistic, poetic look at the problem. What sources of the problem did he mention? There was bureaucracy. There was the banks. There was, not being able to pay rent, having to choose between paying for training like schooling and stuff like that, or a trade school or something of that sort, and then paying for bills, right? He was talking about all these factors that lead into this constant cycle of not being able to move forward, right? Almost like you're stuck in the same place, no pun intended, right? Places, right? But for real, like I said, he wasn't trying to be some I have the answers kind of guy. He was just saying, here's a very detailed look at the problem. And Shane, thank you, man. Thank you for keeping it real, not holding back, giving us a really holistic look at the situation, man. And I know a lot of people can relate, myself included. So thank you. I can't wait to see you on the podcast. And so, yeah, if you are a fan of Shane, make sure you subscribe, all right, so that you can be ready and notified when the podcast episode airs on YouTube, all right? I'll see y'all soon. Deuces. Oh, and also, look at some of my poetry. I spit bars too. You know what I'm saying? I spit bars too. Now, granted, I learned a lot from Shane over the years. You see a little bit of him in me. Don't be too surprised. All right. Now, real talk though, I think you'd enjoy some of my poems as well. Definitely. I can't thank Shane enough for being an inspiration to me. So yeah, hope you enjoy that as well. All right. Bye for real. Deuces.